A couple months ago, TI leaked the successor to the TI-84 Plus CE, and it's finally been released. There's certainly been a lot of hype surrounding this calculator, both from the online calculator community and from TI themselves, so I'm excited to finally take a look at it. The TI-84 Evo is about the same size as its predecessor, so not much change there. The keypad is a little different, but there aren't many significant changes here either. If you look over here, you'll notice that the arithmetic operators have been moved up by one to make space for this toggle button that's used in a few different menus and to convert fraction to decimal. There's also this undo option on the clear button and a home icon on the on key that were present in some of the leaks. The keypad feels very similar to my TI-83 Premium CE. I find the buttons to be quite comfortable to use and appreciate the slightly larger and more uniform layout. Interestingly, both the second and alpha keys are slightly convex, while the number keys are concave. I'm not sure the exact purpose of this, but I have found that it makes the second and alpha keys feel a little bit more smooth. Turning on the calculator, you can already see one of the biggest changes. TI has created a new home screen for this calculator, reminiscent of that on Numworks or Casio calculators. TI's actually done an icon-based home screen in the past for some of their 68K family calculators, but this is the first time it's been brought to the 84 family. They've also gone ahead and updated a lot of the menus, as well as adding this new help app with a bit of useful info and a link to their website. You can still get to the classic home screen fairly quickly by either opening the calculator app or pressing second quit from anywhere in the OS, though unfortunately turning off the calculator will bring you back to the apps menu rather than preserving the app you were last using. So beyond the looks, what all is really new here? One of the big features TI has been promoting is the POI setting, which will display points of interest when tracing an equation. This sort of existed previously through the inequality graphing app, but now it's a bit more conveniently accessible. There's also some new hardware, which we'll take a closer look at in a bit. The box advertises a CPU clock speed over 3 times faster than the CE, though the difference in speed between models varies a lot depending on the task. I've noticed that graphing is still quite slow, and in both TI Planets and my own benchmarks, Zero's TI-like ZGC4 calculator is miles ahead of the Evo despite being $50 cheaper. Obviously, we can expect better performance in calculators from other brands such as the HP Prime, but the ZGC4 seems like a relevant comparison given that its very similar interface directly places it as a competitor to the TI-84 lineup. TI offers both TI Basic and Python programming, though of course they no longer support any form of native code since removing it in an OS update to the CE a couple years ago. It is possible that there will be some sort of exploit or jailbreak published in the future similar to what we have on the CE, so I'll be sure to keep you all updated if something like that occurs. With TI unfortunately keeping TI Basic as slow as it is on the CE, it would certainly be exciting to see what kinds of neat utilities and games people would be able to make if they were able to take full advantage of the new hardware. When comparing the apps present on the Evo with those on the CE, you'll notice that there are still a number of apps missing, like SciTools, ProbSim, and Periodic. I've sent TI an email about this, and I'll put up what they said if they respond in time, but my assumption is that we can still hopefully expect these apps to be coming in a future update. Before taking the calculator apart, we can already get an idea of some of the inner workings through the engineering test menu. By holding down Alpha, E, and Enter when turning on the calculator, we can get access to a whole bunch of interesting hardware debug stuff. There's some USB serial related tests, LCD info, and an option here to enable serial logging, which is quite intriguing. TI Planet has done a more in-depth report on some of the hardware tests, but there's a lot of fun stuff to mess around with here. There's even this dice rolling simulator, so if you ever wanted to roll the dice from your calculator's hardware test, this is the calculator for you. Let's see what's inside. Opening up the calculator is fairly straightforward and follows the same pattern as the CE. We've got 6 Torx T6 screws along the edges to open up, along with 2 Phillips head screws to access the battery. There's another additional 2 screws underneath the battery, and once those are removed, it's only a matter of unclipping some plastic tabs along the edges. With the back removed, we're greeted by a large sheet of TI's favorite foil, which has to be peeled back before we can get to the fun stuff. The board is secured by these annoying plastic tabs, though I don't expect there's anything particularly interesting on the other side besides the keypad, so I'll probably leave them in place for now. In the center of the board, you can see what looks to be a proprietary ASIC designed by TI that's serving as the brains for the calculator. TI Planet has determined that the chip is using an ARM Cortex-M33 CPU, though unfortunately it'll be tricky to find out much more than that without any datasheet or public info on the chip. To the right of it, you can see a Winbond W25Q128 serial flash chip, which I'd guess is storing the firmware and any other apps and file system stuff. Now, interestingly, the W25Q128 is a 16 megabyte flash chip, and you'll notice that we only have about 3 megabytes of user available flash memory. TI's OS and apps bundle is only around 4 megabytes, so where is all the extra flash gone? Your guess is as good as mine, but it's a little unfortunate to have all that extra space sitting around without any way for users to access it. Even after deleting some of TI's apps, the user archive is capped at around 3 megabytes, so so it could be that they've partitioned off a segment for the user and are just using the rest for system stuff. Above both of these, you'll notice something quite interesting. There's this 18-pin connector, which appears to be some sort of debug header. There's a very similar looking connector on the CE as well, which this is definitely reminiscent of. Next to the connector, there's pads for the exam mode LED on the European Evo T model, and there's similar pads down by the USB port for the charging LED on school models. Speaking of the USB port, this calculator has USB-C. While it's certainly not the first calculator to make the switch, the Evo is TI's first graphing calculator with USB-C. It's nice to see the mini USB port finally being retired. In the top left corner, we've got a cable heading off to the display. While I wasn't able to find a datasheet for this specific model, it appears to be an LCD made by Goldentek at the same 320 by 240 pixel resolution as the CE's display. Like the CE, the bottom of the board features contacts for the charging bay accessory, as well as a springy connector for the replaceable battery. While on the topic of the battery, TI's using a very similar battery for the Evo as they use in their other current calculators. This comes with the bonus of cross-compatibility, but with an unfortunate cost to battery life. Fellow calculator YouTuber The Last Millennial determined that the Evo maintains charge for less than half as long as the CE, coming in at only 12 hours compared to the CE's 26. Zero's ZGC4 sits at around 27 hours. All in all, I have mixed feelings about this new calculator. I'm a fan of the refreshed look, and TI has done a good job making it feel more sleek and modernized compared to the CE. However, without as significant of an increase in speed as I expected, and essentially the same features as its predecessor, I can't say I'd recommend getting rid of your current calculator and buying the Evo, especially while it lacks some of the apps on the previous calculator. I'm quite interested to see how TI will develop the calculator over time, and hopefully some of these things will be improved in future OS updates. Let me know what you think of TI's latest calculator, and as always, this has been Tiny Hacker, and I'll see you in the next video.